Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I just posted a video there of me doing the last snow blowing of the season. Hopefully that was on the first day of spring. It's been, 10 days since then or whatever. I took off the blower. I'm going to post a little short on how easy the blower frame comes off and all that crap. But we took it off, I put it on the loader, and as you can see here, we got the tractor in here, and I'm gonna make this video for everybody on what not to do. So we bought this tractor, it was a good deal, everything, and it's worked, great all winter. But as you'll notice in one of our videos, we didn't have the 3-point linkage on because in one of the major snowstorms, we had this issue that the top link here, it lifted up, and I had seen what I thought something looked a little fishy in there this summer when I was cleaning it. I had the seat out and was lubing up all the linkages and never thought anything of it. Anyways, this top cap pulled out. There's these 2 bolts here and there's 2 in there, and it pulled out. So in turn, where that goes in, there were studs in there. Actually, those are bolts, they're studs on the inside. The studs actually were cracked in the casing and it was not repairable at all. So all this stuff bolts to your case and whatever. The case was, needless to say, we got the case. We got a complete rear end assembly for the same price as a case. I would have had to take the case apart, put everything in, reshim the rear end and all your gears and your transmission and everything. And there was really no good way to go about it. And we found this from Patrice. We got it out of Quebec, just across the border. And he was nice enough to sell us this unit here. And everything's in good shape. It came out of an L6060 the same year. And basically these studs right here on ours, there's a crack right in here. And it's from, could be abuse, could be from a lot of weight on it, but something to look out for if you're buying an L6060, to look at that. But anyways, the rear end, I've went through everything, checked all of it. We've had this for about a month. Anyways, we got to bolt this in. So we made up a little cart here. And, as you can see before, there was there's a seam right here. I would have had to pull off these, like the legs, they call them, or where everything attaches in there. All your final drives, all that crap, take out the whole transmission, rear end, put it in a new case. But this way we got all these parts for the same price as a new case, essentially, or a little bit more. So anyways, we got to bolt this in, and we're going to start this tear down. Since I took off the loader and stuff, I got to take off our loader arms here because they come back and attach to brackets underneath here. So I'm going to pull off those, or like the support arms here that come back and they attach right there. So I'm going to pull them off, get all of our 3-point linkages, everything out of here, and get our mount here, which is welded on, definitely on crooked, as you can see. It was just welded on there, not too central, but I mean, it works fine, but just not the prettiest. So I got to pull all that stuff off. Obviously we got to pull the seat. Obviously we do not have like a proper tractor splitting stand. So I'm going to make up a bit very strong, solid. We can jack it up. I can lift the tractor, no problem. And especially with the loader on, I left the loader up a little bit. It really makes the back end of this tractor light. So, I mean, most of your weight's in your tires because they're loaded. And we gotta jack this up, and we gotta support the cab somehow. I've already kind of loosened the cab mounts a little bit here, and just going through the stuff that could potentially be seized. Anyways, cab mounts are off. I loosened them, and we got to support the cab a little bit. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I don't think it weighs very much, so I can probably go up and put a hook through the ceiling to something. It really is just a little bit of a support that it needs. And basically I got to support the front of the tractor, and we're going to pull, there's these studs here. I think there's 6 studs and it looks like only 2 bolts right in there, and then we can put a new bead of sealant on, clean up everything, and bolt this together, get to putting our hydraulics on, outfitting it with all of our cab supports, and swap over our 3-point hitch and everything onto there, and we'll have a good to go tractor. So if anybody needs, like, I've heard that these legs and stuff, we might have these parts for sale. I don't know if we're going to keep them as spares or not, but anyways, in the end, this was probably caused by the previous owner using an implement that was way too heavy. We don't know how this tractor was used. You know, the guys will run their inverted snow blowers that are 2,000 pounds on the back of these things, and you know, 2,000 pounds is a lot of weight. So we weren't concerned about it when we bought it, because that back blade that we have is about 800 pounds. It's still a lot of leverage out there, so it could have happened from that, but either way, it was done before us, and we had planned on putting an accumulator on in the fall. But then when we found this issue, we just decided to take off the blade and start running it. Anyways, we did get an accumulator. It's right here, and we're gonna put that on. We got that from Kubota and Mirabel. I don't know, I'm not French, I don't know if I can pronounce that properly. De Laurentides or something like that, and we got it from there. So we're gonna put that on the new setup. So the accumulator is just a big bladder, and it's a shock absorber for your 3-point. Our implement is really not heavy enough for that, I don't think, but anyways, out of precaution, after having to do all this work, we're gonna do that. But I'll stop rambling on. We're gonna start ripping some stuff out of here. Okay, so all of the 3-point linkages, everything like that is all off. I've taken them off. Hydraulic rams, by the way, make sure you don't mess those up if you're a Kubota owner. Those things are like $1,000 a piece, each one of those rams, so crazy. Anyways, it looks really bare now, which is good. And what I've done, I just shut off the time lapse, and I was talking to my brother, I didn't turn it back on. Anyways, I just yanked the seat quick. That's all I've done. And that just gave me access to the 2, I think they're 21 millimeter lines that attach right there. And yeah, so I got those off. Anyways, now I have to take off our orange supports on each side for the loader, since they bolt down there. For what it takes, I'll just pull them off. It's going to be easier. I mean, they do bolt on the back here. Could probably get away with just, you know, loosening them and dropping them down, but they're going to be in the way for the extra 5 minutes it takes to pull them right off and lift them back in. That's fine. So now I'm just going to go and yank out. I'll probably bring the camera up in there if I can. Basically, you just yank out all your bolts in there. They're 12 mil, I believe, that go all the way around here. They are all different lengths, as you can see, because they're different heights. Yank those all out. These are just sitting on here. These are just loose sitting up here. There's a couple studs sticking up with nuts on them. And you undo your pipe from over here. It'll wrap around the side. And your hydraulic block here for the 3-point. You're gonna unbolt that and get it off to the side too. I'll see how far I actually move all that crap. And yeah, we'll be back with you. Hydraulic block is out of there for all of our remotes, all that crap. We're pretty well good. I haven't pulled off the orange supports yet. And what I have done is got rid of all this stuff and put it here. I put all the bolts, pins, everything back in. It's too hard to keep track of it all if you have it all sitting in a bin. Every pin and stuff has different sizes, and it's just not worth it. So anyways, I've been working on a stand here. I've made a really heavy duty stand. There's a nice flat piece from there to there. It's about 20 inches of space, and we use these at my work to block boats on in the winter. And you know, we put 4,000 or 5,000 pound boats on these suckers, and they have no issues. So I figured it will be just fine for half of a tractor, and you know, a lot of our weight's in our rims and tires too. So I'm gonna lower it down a bit just so we're not jacking everything up way so high. It'll drop about, the tractor is, if you look at it, I didn't want it to be on too much of an angle, but it is angled upwards. So what I'm gonna do, it'll drop about 3.5 inches. So I'm just gonna jack it up and take off our tires, lower it down onto the block. Okay, so wheels are off and we're lowered down. What I did, as you guys could see when I did the shake test, we always do it to boats when we're blocking them, give it the shake test. Never had one come loose in my 10 years, but we always, you know, it's just something for stability. I don't know why you do it, but you always just give it a little shake. Anyways, when I give this the shake test, it wanted to go like this. And I forgot that since your center axle is an independent suspension on each side like a vehicle, you got your pivot in the middle, the whole tractor wants to pivot on the axle. So I just put a jack stand on this side. I put 2 jack stands actually. It's just to stabilize it. There's no weight on them really, so I put a jack stand down there underneath the loader arm. And since the 2 jack stands, you know, you get them to the same height, but it still wobbles a bit. I took this one out and I put one of this big 20-ton jack under there just to stabilize it, and you know, it's good now. It ain't going anywhere. So we're nicely on the wood. That wood didn't even crunch under there when I put it down, which is good, obviously, since it's solid 4x4s essentially. It's got more than enough support. So basically, now I gotta undo my cab, figure out how much weight is on it, and the rest of my hydraulic lines and crap, and we're pretty well ready to pull this thing apart. I gotta figure out how to bring this in at the same height. What I might do is actually just jack this up on blocks to the right height and bring it in on the cart. As you can tell, I don't have the proper tools, but for now, all I'm going to do is just continue pulling out the arms and stuff. I decided to leave them until obviously the tires were gone and we could get in there. So I'll pull out these jacks. They're not touching anything anyways. That was just me being overly cautious, which I feel is a good thing with a tractor of, I don't know how much this weighs, 5,000 pounds or something, and maybe a bit more. Anyways, with the loader for sure. But anyways, yeah, well, I'll pull out the jack and stuff. We'll support it, undo the cab, and my only idea I have for supporting the cab, depending how much we got on it, is, as you can see, we got all this racking in here. My mom owns a store and has a bunch of inventory in it. I have another set of that racking, so I thought I might put up a set of racking across, and then I can just strap the cab up to it, and it'll just be like a little gantry crane up there. Yeah, there's a bit of weight on there. Okay, so without a transmission jack, I drilled a hole in a piece of 3/4 plywood. I was gonna make it out of this 4-inch steel that I had here, but I got nothing to bore like 1 1/4 hole through it, and this works just fine. So I put that under there, centered it wherever it's gonna be good, and I'm using this one here to test where the center is, and right there is perfect. So we're gonna take this now, and we'll put it up underneath there, and then I can get to unbolting everything and sliding the old one out, and we'll see what we can get into in there to clean up, and then we'll slide the new one in, hopefully. Hopefully it all goes simple. Oh, and I gotta drain the oil because it's gonna make a disaster of a mess in here if I forget to do that. Just made another quick mount for this jack. All the linkages are done. Disconnect it. This hydraulic block has one O-ring behind it and just a few bolts and stuff that hold it on. Not a big deal. So I gotta remember to put that O-ring in. She's ready to split. We're gonna start undoing bolts and hopefully she slides apart all right. Nice and loose. All right, we are split. I guess you'd call these like an intermediate shaft. I don't know what you'd call them. They came out. Anyways, they just slide back in. So I'll slide them in first and get them into place before we stab it. Hopefully it's nice and easy to stab the new one. But man, wow. That was a lot easier than I expected and I got done. You know, it's only 2:15. I only started this about 9 o'clock. So we'll inspect some stuff in here and make sure we don't got to replace nothing and go from there. Okay, so I just cleaned all the gasket off, got everything out of these little ridges. I've never seen them on a gasket surface like this before. I was wondering if it was for expansion of sealant, but it doesn't make sense in this case right here. But around like the dowels and stuff, I made sure I had dowels all good. Actually, it looks like I should maybe clean that one out there a little bit. I'll check that out. That one's good. Don't want any sealant in there. I was actually, and I missed one. So anyways, I put it back in, or that one. Anyways, we're all cleaned up and I'm going to get to putting some Permatex the right stuff on. I think I'll put it on this side and then, yeah, it'll be better to put on this side. And then we're going to get to stabbing this thing. I hope it goes well. As you'll be able to see, stabbing didn't go as smooth as I wanted it to. When you line it up, you know, there is collars on here. There's collars on here. You have another shaft here and a gear, as you've seen earlier. So the long shaft, it goes in, you rotate your PTO and it locks in and you shove it in till about here until this collar hits. So this, you know, you rotate your PTO out the back. This is a straight through shaft to your PTO, I believe, at least. Yes. Anyways, you rotate that. This is just going into, this has a gear on it in this shaft. So this just goes into a bearing, I believe, on the other side. But there is a collar on this one and down there. So this one, I was able to rotate and click. All of a sudden it bloop, went ahead until this one, because this shaft's in farther. And this one here, I had to go up from below with a screwdriver because the piece inside, you know, sags down so much. So I popped it up and it clicked. And my brother gave, what did he rotate for this one? Anyways, I don't even know which. I can't even remember anymore. I think I had him rotate that and it spun this one. And anyways, it clicked in and then she popped together and we just about got it done, and some oil came down from the bearing and dripped down and got on my sealant. So I had to pull apart back an inch again, wipe out my sealant, wipe out everything, re-tack it with brake clean, reseal it, and then it was easy to slide in because all of our shafts were lined up. So I just got done torquing everything down, and off camera here, and I just had a phone call I had to take, so I wasn't filming. And as you can see, we have a nice amount of sealant snuck out everywhere, and a little heavier on the bottom because I had to reseal that, but that's just fine by me. We use the Permatex right stuff so we can put this together right away. It's gonna set up overnight. I ain't getting to tonight. It's just about 6 o'clock, but the cabs support it now, and all of our mounts are back on. So I'm just gonna work on cleaning up and tidying up a bit tonight now, getting rid of this. I won't show it on camera. And I'll probably just, you know, bolt a few things on. I might even, it's Friday night, I might have a beer or two and just take it easy. Bolt a couple things on. I got, as you can see, I got the arms back on here for the loader. I want to get that all done. And if I get all of my stuff over here done like I want to, with linkages that reattached and everything good in there, I'll probably just jack it up tonight and get it sitting on its own weight again, because, you know, it's super stable on there, but it'd be just nice to have it sitting on its own weight again for tomorrow. But there's no use doing that if it's going to bone me on getting stuff reattached here. I don't think it will, but we'll see. Okay, so we're just putting on our mid-mount PTO. This is all it is. There's a couple dowels, make sure you got them on. They came out good, and I just bolted the plate up that's on them from factory without the mid-PTO to the old transmission here. So we're good and clean. There's a little bit of sealant around in here, but I don't want to pull out the dowel. Anyways, it's just in these little crevices. It's nothing to matter or worry about. I'm gonna seal that up as a normal surface. But anyways, where it goes on down here, that's what it looks like. This gear just goes right onto your PTO and it comes down. That's why that gear, that's why your mid PTO is twice the speed of your rear PTO, because it's sped up by that gear and this other one. But you know, people say that you lose power, which you do, but we've never had one issue. It's always had more than enough power. I'd be curious though for guys that have a drop box on their true PTO and then run up to the front for their blower. But anyways, we're gonna get this put on tonight. I use Permatex the right stuff, which is good in 1 minute, they say, but you know, if it sits overnight, it's way better. And on something as meticulous as this, you know, this isn't so bad because you can reseal this, but the transmission, you know, to pull that thing back apart is a huge job, so we don't want to do that. Anyway, so we're letting it sit up overnight. We are wrapped up about. Everything dried up here on the floor. What a mess. This thing just kept dripping and I couldn't get it to stop because of the angle. There's so many little cavities in there it sits in. Anyways, everything is all back together back here. So you can see in the time lapse there, I got going on that last night a bit. I just filled it up with oil. Obviously no leaks, which I had hoped for. I just hate that they don't offer a gasket for between that transmission and bell housing, because a nice, or whatever you want to call it, I guess you could call it, that the hydrostatic part and the back transmission of the gear drive. For right in here, a gasket would be way nicer than sealant, but that's how they do it from the factory, so that's what we did. Later on thick, because if it bulges out in there, it really don't matter. And made sure it was clean. Everything else I've gotten all connected in here. Hydraulics and stuff, I did that all off camera. Those are third function valves. Yours may not have that. And I just installed the accumulator. I had a little bit of a hard time to try and find where to put that, but finally I came up with an idea and it worked. So you tap in this line with the coils there, and there's one on this side that comes out of the block here and goes to each 3-point ram. So you got to tap into that circuit. So there's a T there, so you tap into it, you put the T in, and then you run the line back. And what I've done, this thing is pre-charged to about 600 psi or 700, something like that, and I just mounted it right there. It came with 2 bolts right there, longer bolts. As you can see, that one's just a little bit longer, so I thought, you know what, I can flip that over and put it right there on the cab mount. So I took the cab mount out, put the longer bolt in, tightened it down. It fits right there just nice. And I think this bracket's for if you have a backhoe mount. There's like a subframe that goes in here. You can mount it over in there. But anyways, right there. And then I ran my dial so you can adjust your flow for if it bounces and stuff. But it's just basically a big shock absorber for this system, so you avoid doing what happened to this one. As you can see, we noticed it last year. I had to do a little custom fab to get us through the winter. This plate was actually bent because this whole thing pulled out. I have sealant on here. There's cracks right here and right. You can see a crack on this one too. Right here, you can't really see it there, but there's a crack that comes all the way down. And these holes are actually just right gone. They blew out a chunk of metal in there. So as you can see, this stud is loose. So anyways, since this plate was so bent, I ground it flat and put a flat edge on it. It pulled this stud right out. So as you can see, I welded it in place, and that got us through the winter. So you don't want that to happen. Some guys pull them out and you can drill and tap them and they get lucky, but this one was actually, you know, pretty bad. But we bought it like that, and what can you do? We got it fixed now. I did just have it running, had the hydraulics going up and down, everything was good. So that's good. And yeah, we are ready to rock and roll. We're just gonna put our seat back in. Well, thanks for tagging along on this journey of how to fix this tractor, put a new rear end in it. I hope this video can help you with whatever issues you're having on your tractor. Maybe it can show you different areas that you've never seen with the seat out, or just, I hope you learned something off of it. And this was a bit of an expensive fix, but it's done now, and you know, the tractor's useless without it technically on the back end, and you can't really sell it. I mean, it got sold to us that way, but we're not that type of people, so not that we're looking to sell it. So we're getting it put back together so it's a useful tractor, and hopefully we'll have many more years of use out of it. I guess we're going to have some spare parts, whether we sell them or not. We'll have those spare shafts, everything. I mean, the whole transmission is perfectly fine. There's no wear, no bad bearings, everything works fine in it. It's just a cracked case. So maybe now that it's out, we had time, maybe somebody could repair it, I don't know. Or we just get a new case and then we have everything brand new. But I don't see that happening. It'll probably be just parts, but I mean, it's a complete, perfectly fine rear end and transmission, everything. So yeah, with that accumulator installed now and everything, we're just gonna slap the seat back in. It just goes in a few bolts and studs and you're done. And we'll take this thing for a spin and hopefully all is well. Just went for a drive, just coming back, ran it through all the gears. Everything works well, high, low, that shouldn't have changed, but anyways, our high, low, medium range works good, no abnormal noises, everything works well. So thanks for watching, guys, and please give the channel a like and a subscribe. I'm super happy this went well, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope this helps you in some way. If you haven't bought a Kubota yet, watch for this on the rear end when you go to buy one, and save yourself from this job, because trust me, this job looked a lot better on time lapse. It was a long job. I took about 12 hours the first day and 6 hours the second day to finish it up, but we're done now and we're happy. We're going to have a drink.